Hello and welcome once again to the SNS Cricket Diaries, a quick wrap of the second day's play of the World Test Championship final at Lord's that is taking place between Australia and South Africa. And once again, a seesaw battle. Day dominated by bowlers. Overall, 239 runs scored for the loss of 14 wickets. Remember, Australia were dismissed for 212 in the first innings yesterday, and they had South Africa at 43 for 4. So, clear advantage for them going into day two, and they absolutely made the best of that advantage. Yes, the start was good for South Africa. Temba Bavuma and David Bellingham giving the South Africans a good beginning. They were much more positive as in comparison to what happened yesterday evening. But they needed a big one. They really needed a big partnership because they were still many runs behind Australia on the first innings. And unfortunately, just before lunch, Temba Bavuma hit one delivery which was slightly fuller in length from Pat Cummins. He couldn't connect it well and was brilliantly taken in covers by Manas Labuschagne. So they were 94 for 5 at that stage. Somehow they ticked along and took the score to 121 for 5. So I think getting about 80 to 90 runs in that session for the loss of only Temba Bavuma was wonderful. But again, they they absolutely messed it up in the post lunch session. Yeah, the second session they were dismissed for 138. Pat Cummins, what a wonderful bowler he is. I mean, he picked up 6 wickets for 28 runs, hitting the right lens, polishing the tail off. He is not very express pace, but he's sharp enough, and he was very well supported by Mitchell Stark, who picked up two for 41, and Josh Hazelwood picking up one for 27. For South Africa, it was David Bellingham with 45 as the highest score. I mean, you cannot win Test matches if you are not scoring enough runs in the first innings. We'll come to Australia's batting in a while, but just 138 runs, giving the Aussies a lead of about 75 runs. That was always going to be too much going into the third innings, but South Africa made a wonderful case for themselves with the ball. They didn't start off well in the second innings. Manas Labuschagne and Usman Khwaja, especially Manas Labuschagne, looked very positive in the beginning, but somehow again the two openers struggled to keep the momentum going. Kagiso Rabada came into his own. Remember, he had picked up 5 wickets in the first inning, so his tail was up and he bowled brilliantly. Again, picked up Usman Khwaja and Cameron Green in the same over, in one over, just like he did yesterday. And for Cameron Green, it's been a disappointing game. Just 4 in the first innings, a duck in the second innings. Usman Khwaja again looked out of sorts. He has looked like that ever since the series against India. He had 150 there, yes, but he was boomeraged as he himself admitted to the press. Yes, he had a good series against Sri Lanka. He did score one century there, but again in this test, it's been an absolute failure for him. So Australia will have to look forward to how they're going to treat him during the Ashes. How much more is he going to play? Steve Smith came, hit a boundary of the very first or the second ball that he faced. He looked good, but again he was dismissed. There was a mini collapse. Steve Smith was out for 13. Travis Head for 9. Bo Webster, the top scorer for Australia in the first innings, was out for 9. Pat Cummins was out for 6, and then so they were at one stage 73 for 7, and looking down the barrel with a lead of just about 120, 130 runs. But then Mitchell Stark and Alex Carey pulled together the Australian innings, 61 runs for the 8th wicket. Alex Carey just got out before stumps for 43. It was LBW to Rabada. Rabada finishing the day 3 for 44. Lungi and Giri with 3 for 35. Very little spin on offer, so you don't expect Keshav Maharaj to do a lot, so just a couple of overs. But Vian Mulder bowled pretty well, 1 for 14 of 6 overs, and Marco Jansen, a bit expensive, but 1 for 31 of 12 overs. So um, uh, it's something that the Australians do very well. They come back all the time in the game, and they're looking very good now, leading by 218 runs going into day three. I feel personally that that's way too much for South Africa's batting, which looks very flaky, very fragile, and they looked out of sorts in the first innings. Nothing to write home about. So for them to chase even 219, if Australia were to get all out tomorrow, and that looks highly unlikely with Mitchell Stark batting very well. So you can always expect another 25-30 runs to be scored. So somewhere around 250. If the Australians give the target, I think it's just going to be next to impossible for South Africa unless and until we see some major surprise, some miraculous batting by the South Africans because they look out of sorts here. They don't also have the experience. That's also there. And if you look at how this test match has panned out, from very key positions where South Africa looked like, just that one more step to take forward, and then they can polish off the Aussies. Like they were 67 for 4, but there was a big partnership there. And then just today, when Temba Bavuma and David Bedingham had taken the score from 43 to 94, had they gone into that session wicketless without giving away any wicket, and then started again post lunch, it would have been such a different story. As I said yesterday, that if they concede a lead of 70 to 80 runs, then it will be a huge mountain to climb from there. And that's what has happened. And now they have a huge mountain as it is 218 runs being conceded in lead. And let's see how day three pans out. Australia would definitely love to get this lead up to 250. But let's see if South Africa can restrict them to about 220, 225. They give themselves a slight outside chance, although I still feel personally that the game is now Australia's to lose if they bowl very, very badly and terribly, which very, very rarely it happens. Only then does South Africa have a chance of winning. So that's what test match is all about, guys. Yeah, you just one session or one good spell is not enough. It has to be backed up with sustained spells, sustained pressure, and that's what South Africa has lacked both in bowling as well as batting. But I guess Kagiso Rabada has stood out. 8 wickets in the game so far. Still has 2 more wickets available for him to take. Yeah, Marco Jansen has ably supported him, but somewhere I feel they have lacked a good third and fourth seamer, which for Australia, I mean, you look at Pat Cummins, their third seamer picked up 6 wickets, and Nathan Lyle didn't have to do much of bowling. So Australia have clearly shown that they are the superior side, although their batting has let them down in both innings, to be honest. But they've just about made enough runs, I feel, to be able to win this test match. So let's see how that pans out tomorrow. Until then, take care. Bye.